Hey folks, and welcome to Truck King. This is a huge year for new mid-size trucks and especially new mid-size off-road trucks. But today we're taking a look at one of the already established mid-sizers in the segment, the Jeep Gladiator Mojave. Now Jeep says this is the best mid-size off-roader, and we're gonna go find the mud and the rocks to see if that's true. Let's kick it off with the Walkaround. So powering the Mojave is a 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V6. It makes 285 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, and in our case it's hooked to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And yes, you got to appreciate Jeep. They still use the old school hood clasps up here. No one else really does this, and it's just sort of a callback to those old classic Jeeps. So the Mojave you're looking at right here is finished in high velocity. I don't know whether to call it yellow or green. It's somewhere in the middle. This is a new color for 2023, and you're never going to lose this thing in a parking lot. So why don't we just right off the bat get you to go down in the comments and let me know what you think of the styling and especially the color here on this Gladiator. Let me hit you with some of the big off-road numbers now here on the Gladiator. The most important one, the approach angle here, 44 degrees. That is a huge amount of approach, and that's usually the most important number off-road. Once you can get up on an obstacle, well, sometimes you can drag yourself over it, but getting onto it is the most important part. So as we roll around here, we do have a set of Falken Wild Peak all-terrain tires on our Mojave today. Those are 33-inch tires. That's a nice set of all-terrains, and we're gonna put them to the test. Moving back, these awesome rock rails. Now, these are an accessory which has been added onto this Jeep, but those are great for protection once you're off-road. Now, the one Achilles heel of the Gladiator, you can see it here, it's a long wheelbase, leaving you with just a 20-degree breakover angle. That's the one off-road number that isn't great on this truck, and there's only one cab and bed configuration here, so you can't get it any other way. Although I will tell you, there's a trend with Gladiators. Some guys like to take this section of the bed, chop it off to really give you a good departure angle. They call it bobbing a Gladiator. Let's take a look underneath the Gladiator right now. So I usually start with the tow hooks, but you actually can't see them from here because they're way up on top of the bumper. That's a great feature. I mean, if you are stuck deep in the mud, you don't want to be going underneath the bumper for the tow hook, so I like that. Now, right up front, a nice strong steel skid plate. That's the magnet test. That's how we check between steel and aluminum, so we know that guy is steel. And this is going to take the majority of the abuse off-road because it's the first thing you're going to hit. Now, moving back, you have to point out the suspension on this truck because that's what makes it so special. That's a set of Fox 2.5-inch internal bypass shocks. And what's really cool is that they have remote reservoirs which are nestled up here underneath the skid plate. So they actually run a braided wire over to the remote reservoir. Having those remote reservoirs is going to reduce shock fade, so if you are out there, especially at high speeds for long periods of time, you're not going to feel the performance actually suffering at all. So we move back. I'll also say the sway bar up here, that's fixed, unlike the Rubicon where you get the disconnectable sway bar. Here on the Mojave, we don't get that. And then of course, it's just not that common that we see vehicles with two solid axles. These days, usually you get independent in the front. Now, as we roll back, we get to some more skid plates. This is our transfer case skid plate right there. Also steel, which is nice. And then over here, fuel tank skid plate, that's steel too. And I gotta say, this is the one most commonly I see a lot of brands go to plastic for the fuel tank, but here on the Gladiator, that thing is nice steel, which I appreciate. And then looking all the way at the back, of course, you get your solid axle there too. You do also get those Fox 2.5-inch internal bypass shocks. And then one thing that is unique is over here, you have this unique set of jounce bumpers. Those only come on the Gladiator, once again, because if you're flying at high speed and you do bottom out, they don't want that to be a hard hit. Finally, last thing I'll say, full-size spare tire, which is always appreciated out there in the back. That's just about it for underneath the Gladiator. Why don't we go now and hit the trail? And now I'm behind the wheel. Before we set out though, I do want to show you guys OffRoad Pages. So these are the different off-road information pages that you get up here in your center stack. So we have drivetrain, it'll show you what's locked up and not, the accessory gauges for all your different heat and pressures, pitch and roll, and then you have the trail cam. So that's my nose camera, really handy when you're on the trail, especially because you have those tire predictive lines to show exactly where your front tires are going to be. And then yes, there's a clean camera button because you have a little sprayer up there for your nose and it'll actually spray it clean. So I appreciate having all those views. And then I might as well show you as well, when you put it in reverse, you get your straight backup camera, and there is a zoom in view for hitching, which is cool, and then just your nose camera. So no 360-degree cameras here, but not a bad suite of cameras, and the off-road pages is pretty handy. Alrighty folks, now we're off-road and we're starting here in Tracy's Meadow with our two pretty simple obstacles. The first one is the ditch crossing, and I'm just in 4 high, no special modes, no low range yet. Let's just see how I can crawl through here. It is a little bit wet. Oh! the tiniest momentary slip and then no problem at all. So that was easy enough, and it's kind of funny, that ditch crossing was much harder when we started running it, but now that we've run it so many times and with so many trucks, it just gets easier and easier every single time. Okay everybody, and now we're gonna go into our offset ruts, and this proves a couple points. It's all about testing lockers and traction control. So first of all, I'm in 2 high. I'm in 2-wheel drive, which is rear wheel drive, and I just wanna see what happens, because what's gonna happen is that's gonna go down into the rut, and pretty soon I'm gonna lose traction off of my rear passenger tire right about now, and let's see what it does in 2-wheel drive. Oh, here we go. Can I get the power over? It's braking. Traction control's trying. Traction control. Wow. This is 2-wheel drive, folks. And that open differential, or the differential in the back, is just open. Oh, let's see what I can do now. Traction control. It's doing it. It's actually doing it. It's braking. Oh no, now I can feel it. That was too much. Okay, that's okay. Now we go into 4 high. And we keep going. And I bet 4 high should be enough. Come on, baby. Yes, dig your way out of there. So this is with nothing locked up, but I have to tell you, I felt a lot of traction control systems that get totally confused. The Jeep knew what to do. It's braking the wheel that's spinning in the air and sending power over. The fact that I made it through the first rut in 2-wheel drive just tells me that the traction control system here is quite good and quite responsive and ready for that kind of scenario. Okay folks, now we're going into the deep water. I'm going in 4 high locked in off-road plus mode. I'd love to lock my rear axle, but I can't do that unless I'm in low range, even with off-road plus on in this truck today. So here we go, dropping in. Oh, and the belly didn't drag. That's a good sign. Again, that breakover angle is the big problem here. But these Falcon Wild Peaks are eating this up, absolutely. Oh, it's deep out here, man. I can feel the water on the floorboard, but it's not coming in. That's the important part. And the clearance is excellent. There's rocks right at the end of that pit, and I didn't hit them coming up the hill. Wow, nothing. And breakover, really good. So that clearance, the 44-degree approach, I didn't feel a thing coming through the pit. Felt solid. I'll give a shout out now to this naturally aspirated V6. If you've watched the channel, you probably saw us complaining, a little bit of complaining, in the new Canyon, because they've gone to just the Turbo 4. I'm not saying it's a bad engine, but I am saying I do think I prefer, personally, a naturally aspirated V6. So I'm liking the power delivery out of this Jeep. Really, you know what? It's predictable. It's predictable and easy the way the power rolls on. So now I'm crawling back down the hill towards the mud, and I'm using Jeep's Select Speed system. So it's off-road cruise control. My feet are off the brakes and the gas. It's braking for me. And the key with these systems is how smooth is it? And it's fairly smooth. Now, like Toyota's crawl control, this is using the ABS. You can hear it pulsing the ABS. But pretty smooth. Now let's see how it is here on this little drop-off. Nice. And now the other key is, as we transition into the water, I always wanted to pick up speed. So let's see, I'm now at 3. Oh, my nose rubbed there. Approach angle couldn't save me there, but coming into the water, we're now at 8 kilometers an hour. And away we go. Whoa! There was a big rock I didn't feel the first time. Everything's always changing up down in there. But this is beautiful. I've not touched the gas once, and the Jeep rolls it on so smoothly. Not to say I couldn't do that too, but the way it delivers the power and select speed, like I said, it's so smooth, makes it predictable. I'm not the hugest fan of these off-road systems in terms of how fun they are. I would rather drive myself. I don't mind saying that. But when I do turn it on, it works pretty dang well. This is all part of off-roading as well. And we're back now, folks. Had to move that tree off the trail, but I will say that the front bash plate, and I do call it a bash plate here on the Gladiator, it doesn't just sit flat, it really comes down vertically. So when I did run into that tree, it really ended up pushing it. It did its job fairly well, protected everything underneath. However, the problem was I was running up on the tree and then it was sucking me basically down the trunk of the tree, which was no good. So I had to get out and move it, and that's all part of off-roading too. Sometimes there's just things on the trail that you can't overcome. I don't care what you drive. So there you go, hydro line successfully traversed, and this Gladiator did an excellent job. The clearances were there. I didn't really feel an issue with the breakover, but I do have to now say that it's great the Gladiator can do this. What this truck is designed for, though, is a little bit more high speed, getting out in the desert. So let's go now to our wide open farm field road, and we'll see if we can fly a little bit. All right, folks, and now we're flying in the Gladiator. I called in my performance driver over here, and Dad. Oh shoot, I should have said. But we're over here in this big wide open farm field. And the whole idea here is on our property, we can't ever pick up that much speed, but here we can really fly. And that was quick. And that
forgot to turn the windshield wipers on.
Yeah, there's a bit of water out here today, but that felt really good. I mean, I was legitimately scared on some of those whoops you just hit, and the truck swallowed them up. So not only are those Fox shocks working, but this truck gets unique jounce bumpers. So if you do bottom it out, you're not going to feel that big hit. They're these big, massive rubber bump stops, basically.
I don't think we bottomed it out.
Yeah, I mean, if we did, that's the idea, right?
Like,
but
I'm
either
surprised because I was expecting some real hits, but I didn't get it.
No, suspension was good there. What did you feel handling-wise? Felt okay?
Well, it stayed in a straight line, thank God, particularly coming through the cattle gate.
And you're right about that. Staying in a straight line is sort of the key. You want to be doing as little as possible with your hands and just feeling the truck kind of plowing straight through, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah, and remember to turn your windshield wipers on before you hit the puddles, because then suddenly you can't see a thing.
Yeah, the auto wipers are good for that as well. We keep pushing further, and the suspension just keeps on doing its job. I'm really impressed by this Gladiator Mojave so far. I mean, if I had to put it up there, it's definitely in the realm of, or category of ZR2. It might even be a hair better feeling than a ZR2 at speed, and maybe that's just the wheelbase I'm feeling. But man, the current ZR2, yeah, I'd say it's right there with that truck. And then I mentioned off the top, we got a new one's coming. We got Ford Ranger Raptor coming. That thing's probably going to be incredible. We're getting a new TRD Pro. So the Mojave, which doesn't have any plans or any changes planned for it right now, it has some stiff competition. But based on what I'm feeling now, it's already pretty dang good. Let's do it one more time, shall we? Yes! Oh man, that's just the best. That's just the best. And hard on the brakes. Ooh, she locks up nice too. Nice. Well, high speeding in the Mojave is not bad at all. And that's it. If you are going to buy the truck somewhere like where we live, you want it to be able to do a bit of everything. And so far, it's exactly what it's done here today. Well, folks, we're off the trail now, back on the road, and the Gladiator did everything we wanted it to today. It did the mud, it did the hydro line, it did kind of the typical Southern Ontario stuff, but then when we got out in that field, man, it was flying there, and it was feeling pretty dang good too. And quickly, I'll just let you know, you'll see someone in the back there, that's Liam. Liam's coming on board to help us shoot some video. So if you notice an uptick in quality in this video and some cool shots, we have Liam to thank for that. But let's just talk about the truck, Dad, because I think I don't have a lot of complaints, you know, nuts and bolts wise. The clearance is great, the approach and departure, it's all there. There's one number that sticks out though, and we keep coming back to it. It's the price. As it sits here in Canada, this truck is $80,000. And there's just something in my brain, there's a blocker, you know, it's a mid-sized truck. It shouldn't be that expensive. A mid-sizer shouldn't be over 60. I don't know why I think that, but that's where I land. What do you think? You know, do we have to just adjust? Is it crazy how much they're asking for these trucks? And let me also say it's in the realm. All the other mid-sizers off-road trucks, they're right around 80 grand too. So they're not crazy asking for the money, but just, you know, gut reaction. How does it make you feel when I tell you the price?
When it comes to dollars and cents, we always, particularly with vehicles, we have this sense that, you know, that's what it costs to build. And the truth is that's wrong. It's wrong. That's how much the manufacturers think they can get away with charging us. And the fact is that if it's a hot product, we not only get a bumped up price from the manufacturer, but then the dealers throw something on top of it too. So we get screwed more times than we can count. That will only change when we hit a moment where people go, no, I won't buy this. And when they see sales drop, they'll change their tune. So you can't say, oh, well, the price of everything has gone up. Yes, it has, but not the way vehicle prices have gone up in the last couple of years. So honestly, vote with your dollars. If this just feels wrong, don't do it.
At the very least, for that 80 grand, you are getting a very capable off-road truck. So at least you can feel good about that.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's awesome that we can take it off and beat the snot out of it. And then I got it back on the highway now, and like, it's no worse for wear.
Yeah.
There's no damage, there's no nothing. I can drive this to work tomorrow if I worked. And it's fine. If I got one complaint, I've been driving this all week, and this is more of a question, which is, why does every Jeep I've ever driven wander?
Yeah.
It just constantly falling off the center peak of the road. It's just, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, part of it's the twin axles, I think, but you can't just chalk it up to that.
Anyway, that's just my observation. I just wish it wouldn't, I don't know, wander.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I feel that too on road, but you're right. We are living in an age of less compromise than ever, where you can go off-road, do the crazy stuff, and then drive to work and feel real confident. So if that's worth 80 grand to you, well, here's your Jeep. Well, folks, we have come to the end of this one. Now, this Gladiator Mojave did everything we asked of it today pretty dang well. The only problem is that price tag, but if you can get over that, you're gonna get an excellent mid-size off-roader, and even though we're about to get a new crop of mid-size off-roaders, I think the Gladiator is absolutely going to remain competitive. So like I said, that's it for this video. Now, please go below into the comments. Let me know what you think of this Gladiator and all the off-roading we did. Honestly, I think it looks better dirty. As always, while you're down below, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that join button to become a member of Truck King, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.